Everyone who has been a student want to do their best to study and learn different concepts. And there are so many resources out there. There's so many videos out there talking about, the best way to study, or how to study more effectively, or how to be more efficient in your studies. And they're all amazing, amazing resources and that I've actually used. But I wanted to share something a little bit different. Although these concepts are amazing, but I think there are some few tips that I can give you guys that I think can motivate you as you're studying, and I believe they're gonna enhance in how you're studying for not just a short term, but you're going to be able to retain this material for even longer time. So I'm super excited to talk about it. So let's do it. What up, team? It's Coach Rebo, your MD mentor and coach. Listen, take out pen and paper right now, because today we're going to talk about something that I believe is going to be a game changer. I believe that this concept that we're about to talk about is going to change tremendously the way you approach your studies, right? And so I want you to be all dialed in, because I want to talk to you guys about studying with purpose. And so out of this, I want to talk about 4 things that I'm going to discuss in how you can approach your studies. And out of that, man, I think it's going to make an impact. First concept that I want to talk about is changing your mindset. Okay? Your mind is so powerful, right? Your mind really controls almost every decision that you have to make every day, every moment. And so the concept of studying, usually, as we were kids, a lot of us, I'm sure, when we were growing up, studying wasn't always the most fun thing to do. When we were introduced to studying or learning, sometimes it was more about, hey, this is something kind of you have to do. Or sometimes, you have a homework, and when you don't do it, you get punished. And so because of that, our mindset have completely changed in such a young age, and we are approaching our studies as if it's some type of chore, right? Or it's some type of punishment that we have to do, and it's not something that we get to do. And so because of that little thing in our mind, now as we approach our studies, or when we have to go study for something, we already have this mind block. Something in our mind tells us, man, I'm about to go do this and it's not gonna be fun, or oh man, I have to do this again. And so I think if we can change the way we approach our studies, if we can change our mindset and see it as something that's not just a chore or something that you have to do, but something that you get to do, I think it's going to change tremendously. So I want to challenge you, as you study every day, even before you start studying, I want you to think about this concept. How do you always approach your studies? Do you see it as a punishment? Do you see it as a chore that you have to do? And from there, I want you to start shifting. And it's not going to take overnight. It's going to take some time of practice, reminding yourself that this is not a chore, and this is something that I get to do. This is something amazing that my mind is going to expand out of this, and I get to learn some new concepts, or I get to eventually change somebody's life. And so actually, this leads me to concept number 2. And concept number 2 is know your why, right? Know why you are studying, know why you're doing what you're doing. Because if you don't, then that mindset change is actually not really going to happen, because once you know you're about to start studying, knowing why you are studying, you're going to forget all about that punishment. You're going to forget about all of that negative mindset that you have in your mind on how you approach your study. And I want to also challenge you again. Understanding your why is not just because, man, I'm going to study because I want to make an A. I want you to think bigger. I want you to think about your dreams of as you're going through this journey. And don't just make it superficial. Make it deeper. Make it something from within. Okay? make it something bigger than yourself. Because for most of us, sometimes it's being told, oh, it's because my parents want me to study, therefore I'm going to study. That's not going to sustain you as you go through your journey. And this is not just for medical students or pre-med, this is for anybody. You have to know, why am I about to embark on this journey? Why am I about to learn this material right now? Because if you don't, you're going to study for 5 minutes and you'll be tired, and something's going to tell you to go to bed. And you just go to bed because there's nothing deeper that's motivating you to see why you're doing what you're doing. And so for some of you, it might be, hey, I am the only person in my family who has this opportunity right now, and I get to do it and later make an impact on how my family outcome is going to be. For some of you, it might be, hey, I want to make some amazing scientific changes, or I want to be the best at understanding the history of this because I want to make certain impact in the future. For some of you, it may just be, hey, I want to be able to change people's lives because of what I'm going to learn today. For me, as a pre-med and as a medical student, I knew I wanted to be a doctor because I grew up in a place that healthcare wasn't the best, that people died just because they didn't have a certain medication, or people died because they didn't have doctors who could take care of them. I lost family members, I lost friends because of those situations. And so deep down I knew I wanted to push through, I wanted to learn the material because I wanted to be a good doctor. So I want you to find those different things, and they don't have to be the similar or whatever. I want you to find your reason for sitting down at the moment and studying, for sitting down and go take this 8-hour test or whatever, studying for the MCAT, or even just studying for your exams at school. I want you to find your reason, because this is going to keep you motivated. This is going to remind you, hey, this is not just another task again. This is something that I get to do, and I get to either make an impact in the future or change somebody's life. So I want you to take that serious. So remember, you got to change your mindset, 1, and 2, I want you to know why you're studying. Know that why. It's going to make such a huge difference. Concept number 3, that is, study to learn, and don't just study to take tests. Listen, this is one of the biggest problem in current education system, especially here in the US. A lot of us, myself included, sometimes really fall into this just, hey, I'm trying to study so I can get an A. Hey, I'm just trying to study so I can make it through whatever, which is, it's not a bad reason, because that's how our education system is kind of set up. Numbers have been known now to be one of the biggest determinants of, how far you're going to go. Like, for example, for you to get into medical school, you have to have good grades. You have to have a pretty good MCAT score, right? Or for you to do well in medical school at the same time and get to residency, you have to do well in medical school and get good grades and do well on step 1, do well on step 2, and all these things that end up putting so much pressure in students to just think about, hey, I just need to do well on the test. And then they forget about the bigger thing, right? And then this is actually where I'm talking about studying with purpose. There's a purpose in your study. It's not just about that making that great grade or that good step 1. The purpose has to be bigger than you. Again, connecting to number 2, knowing why you are doing it, right? And so I want to challenge you, as you're studying for your tests or your board exams, don't even think about you studying as just studying for those tests. I want you to think about you studying because you want to be a doctor. And what does that mean? That means that you're going to actually have people's lives in your hands. That means that you're going to actually have to make decisions to impact somebody else's life, to impact somebody else's mom, dad, son, daughter. So I want you to take that mindset again and think it as a bigger picture, And so as you're studying, you don't just study because, and say, okay, I memorized this concept, I memorized that concept, but are you actually mastering this concept? Are you actually knowing what that means? This is really hard, especially when it's like first and second year of medical school, or even sometimes in pre-med, because you don't see that direct relationship between what you're learning and how it's going to impact that patient. And this is why it's so much to always skip that big picture, because it's going to motivate you to say, hey, what I'm learning now, it's going to help me decide on how I'm going to treat my patient. And so, if you want to be a good doctor, study for the test. But if you want to be a great doctor, study to learn. The last concept that I want to talk about, concept number 4, which is be curious and ask yourself questions. It's so key as you're studying. I remember myself as I was studying, sometimes I would try to implement this concept, right? I would say, you know what, I'm going to be a master of this concept, and I'm going to try to ask myself different questions, because so many times we just try to kind of take it all in and not even question, hey, why is this concept working a certain way? But just because it's how it's written in PowerPoint or how it's written in the book, we just take it in and we move on, because hey, I can put on a checkbox that I studied that concept. But why do things work the way they work? Challenge the concept. I think this is also, again, going to tie into you actually retaining this material, because you're going to be mastering this. You can actually be able to teach somebody else because you actually looked at this concept in so many different perspectives, and understanding that, hey, if a patient presents this way, yeah, here's the answer, but what if the patient presented that way? Our patients are not going to be multiple choice, actually, right? They're going to be real people with real problems, and we actually have to approach them as human beings. And actually us, because we took the time to learn and understanding these different concepts of the different diseases and how they work, we can have that open mind, and we can not just check that box. This is not A, this is not B, but this is a whole human being. How am I going to impact this person? And so I want to challenge you to be curious as in your studies. I want to challenge you to see every concept as an opportunity on how you're going to impact people in the future. And so I believe these little 4 things, and it's something that's not gonna happen overnight. It's something that I'm still learning to do. It's something that I'm trying to implement every day. And this is more than just studying for medical school or than just studying for the exams. These are some things that you can use in your own life every day, right? Just think about it, right? Why are you doing whatever you're doing? In every situation that you're going through, can you ask yourself that? I think that's gonna make you intentional about so many other things in your life, right? Are you trying to learn as you're going through your journey in life? Are you trying to learn about other people in your school? Are you trying to learn about your patients, right? And are you curious? Are you curious about the people? Are you curious about that patient that you saw in the ED, and then you just went to them and you wanted to know more than just what brought them in? I hope that this is not just going to motivate you for those 5 minutes. I believe implementing this every day, it's going to actually sustain you. It's going to actually help you stay motivated for long term, because medical school is a journey. It's not just a few years and you're done. Even from pre-med, we have to have that bigger picture, and it's that everyday approach. It's that one day at a time approach. And so having this, it's going to bring you to your vision. It's going to help you remember, man, this is why I'm here today. This is why I'm studying today, and take it to the next day and the next day. And it's going to be second nature to you, and you're going to just be happy, and you're going to be happy with the process and then not just the destination. Again, that's a topic for another day. But listen, I love you guys, and I hope this video is going to impact you as you're studying, and as usual, don't forget, this journey it takes more than one. it takes a team. And as you go out there, as you're studying, as you're impacting others' out life, just always have that mindset of put me in, coach. See you guys later. Bye.